committee meeting to order. Under previous business, approving previous meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
Yeah.
Paul, Mr. Hogan, second by Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5.
Okay.
Light on the minutes.
Number 1, local law number A for 2018, local law of the County of Albany, New York, prohibiting the sale of tobacco and other nicotine delivery products in pharmacies in the County of Albany, New York. Paul, come up to the table. Anybody have any questions for Paul? No questions? You get a motion to move? Motion by Lynn. A second? Do we have a second?
Someone second.
A motion by Lynn. Do we have a second?
Oh, come on. Fine.
Motion to move.
Yes.
Motion to move it.
Move it to the floor?
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry, I was reading.
He was reading.
Thanks, Sean. Second by Sean. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
1 opposed. Thanks, Paul. Resolution number 134, resolution to initiate a pilot polystyrene recycling program. Frank, any questions for Mr. Mariello? What's your intention with this, Frank?
Okay,
Still audit and finance, or?
It will be going to audit and finance later this evening. And what I just wanted to talk about it briefly is that we put together a little fact sheet on polystyrene and recycling, and this all came about because we heard about Madison County, which is just west of Utica. They currently have a successful polystyrene recycling program. So last year, myself, Paul Bergdorf, and Tim DeRocher took a little ride out to Madison County to take a look and see how the operation worked, and see if it was something that would work well for Albany County. And we were very impressed by what we saw when we came back. I called Sean Ward at the time, who was chairman of the legislature, and Frank Camiso, and told them about what we had seen out there and suggested that they go and take a look at the operation themselves, which they did. And when they came back, I think they had the same feelings that we did about how successful it was. In fact, Madison County is all voluntary, in that residents will bring styrofoam to a drop-off collection point, which will probably be the same case here. But what we're doing is we're asking the county executive to really investigate, design, and implement a pilot program, recycling program in the county. What he'll probably do is dialogue with the other municipalities in the county and determine what's the best way to do it. Now, probably the biggest cost to this is the machine that's called a densifier that actually will densify the styrofoam. In fact, I forgot to bring our styrofoam block with me. We have up in our office. And there actually is a secondary market for recycled styrofoam. The cost of the machine is around $48,000 to $50,000, and there is a grant out there to fund the entire cost of the machine. So it's a good product. It's a good way. One of the things I think I just want to point out as well is, in our little fact sheet, as we talk about the amount of styrofoam or polystyrene that is we put into our waste stream each year. Albany County produces approximately 5,000 tons of polystyrene each year. It's only about 0.8% of all the landfill waste, but styrofoam is very light, and what you're really looking at is the volume of the material that's going into our landfills, which equates to over 300,000 cubic yards. So that waste currently is going into our two main landfills in the county, Colony and Albany. And as we know, the Albany landfill is filling up and will have to be closed in the next few years. Colony just received permission to expand their landfill, but at a lower amount than what they had applied for. So therefore, if we can divert some of this waste, some of this polystyrene from our landfills, recycle it, and sell it in the secondary market, then it'll really help to It helps for the environment, it helps to preserve our landfill space, and we could actually generate a little bit of income for the county as well. So I just, and anything also with this legislation, what we're doing is we're asking the county executive to come back to us after 180 days, 6 months, with a report as to what they found. And from there, again, any type of grants would have to be approved by the legislature. So anything that he determines that we should do will have to get approval by the legislature at a later date anyway. So I'm just looking to move this forward so we can have the county executive begin the program.
Okay, is there any questions from the committee? Sean?
I'd just like to add, Mr. Camisso and I did go out and tour the facility. It was, basically they took a room full of packaging styrofoam about the size of half of this room, floor to ceiling, and turned it into a block about the size of that filing cabinet. And if you think about, the size of, I guess you use 3 Epcot spaceships worth of styrofoam that are going into our landfills now. I'm sure that they can shrink that down, probably 1,000 times. So I thought it was worth trying a pilot program here in Albany County. The other thing that I learned out there is when we talked about banning food styrofoam packaging, that only constitutes about 5% of all the styrofoam used by consumers in Albany County and the state, actually. Over 90% of it is packaging. And that's the audience I think we should go after. We can find a way to recycle it to our municipalities and then try to keep it out of our dumps. And if we can start a pilot program here in Albany County, I think it'd be well worth giving it a shot, especially if we can get the machine to a grant. Now, I don't know, the machine that we saw was about $35,000 machine, and I thought in the county we could probably get a bigger machine, or at least 2 of them. I'm not sure how big this machine would be for $50,000, but same size?
Same size. Well, Tim Murphy had also went out.
I was trying to think of the other person.
Yeah,
Tim Murphy.
He went out as well and looked at their operation, and he recommended that we use the same size machine that they have out there.
Very good. But I think for that amount of money, for us to try a pilot program, do we get that much styrofoam out of our waste stream? I think it's worth doing. And it took the gentleman we saw that was actually operating the machine, it really took him no time. I think he works part-time. It's not a lot of labor cost involved in it. He fed it. It's a one-man operation. He fed the machine, and like I say, it was half of this room full of styrofoam. They got down to a block the size of that cabinet.
And one other thing I'll add is that the condition of the grant is that we also recycle food-grade styrofoam. So we do have to accept food-grade styrofoam as well, which is paper plate or styrofoam plates and cups and things like that.
You have to.
We would have to, yeah.
That could be a bit of a catch, because I think when we were, it's not a catch, I like this, I like the proposal. When we discussed the styrofoam, or the polystyrene ban initially, the big debate between the lobbyists for the polystyrene companies was that, I think at the time they quoted something like it takes $1,000 to recycle $300 worth of polystyrene, and because of that, polystyrene companies don't purchase recycled polystyrene. They just purchase it from China.
There's a secondary market for it. You will not get as much money for the food styrofoam as you will for packaging styrofoam, but there is a market out there for it.
Well, it's because this stuff is used for different things.
Yeah.
They're not using it for packaging, they're using it for condensed or high density product.
Crown molding,
Crown-molding.
picture frames.
Do we?
I think they make 5 on that.
I want this to go forward. Is it okay if I just review this for 1 month? Can we just table it just for 1 month while it gets audit and finance?
And for what purpose?
Well, I just want to review it. It's the first time I'm actually looking at this. I'd like to reach out to Madison County myself. I just want to make sure that there's a market for secondary. You're telling us there's a market for secondary polystyrene?
Home Depot is one of the large purchasers of what their byproduct. They make crown molding out of it. I think if you go to Home Depot, you can purchase that crown molding, styrofoam base.
Well, my question, since we're having a free-for-all, would be, where is the secondary market? How much extra trucking is going to be involved?
Well, see,
if
that's-
you're not delighted with the implementation of the 6-month program, you know, are there any opportunities for us to fix it if it turns out that we're trucking stuff to Indiana to get made into a crown mold? Like, that seems counterintuitive, though I like the idea of getting rid of it. I particularly like the food grade idea. I'm glad that that's in there because that was my question. Talked last month. You know, and I do have concerns about making it into something that's going to end up in the landfill anyway. The picture frame might not end up in there today, but it will end up in there in 5 years. I'd rather if the secondary market sold it to the people who are using it and use it again. But since that's a dream world, and I'm, you know.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's possible, but I mean,
That would be a good way to
regardless, I
put it,
mean,
yeah.
if you make the picture frame out of virgin material, now you're using
Sure.
new materials where you can just reuse material to make that picture
It is.
frame, which will eventually end up in landfill anyway, right?
It is
But you know, it's better to use recycled material than it is to use virgin material for that.
And I also have a question, if I may.
Sure, go ahead, Lynn.
About, you know, I work at Planned Parenthood part-time, and I cannot get rid of my electronics, I cannot get rid of my styrofoam, I can't really do anything because the carrier in my building, who I've complained to the city many times, won't take it away. So I have been known to bring it places if I can find a place, but are commercial people going to be able to recycle their styrofoam along with, you said, residents? Just want to make sure that it'll be everybody's stuff.
Yes.
We get a lot every day.
Yes, it is. It's for, in fact,
You have to join the club first.
Medical stuff, you know.
Raymore and Flanagan has their own densifier at their warehouse in Syracuse. So after they deliver furniture to the stores, they backhaul styrofoam to their warehouse and they densify it there, and then they sell it on the secondary market. Tim Murphy does have a report that he put together for Sean and Frank, and what would happen is we would work with Madison County so that there'd be a truck that would come and pick up ours, pick up theirs, and bring it to wherever it's going to be repurposed. So that's how we would work that. What the county executive has to do is he has to look at a way for people to bring it to a collection area. So we'll probably have collection areas around the county in the different municipalities. People will bring it there. Now the question is, how do you get it from there to the densifier, which possibly could be at the South Sewer Plant? So that's what he has to work on.
Or if it can be commingled with the rest of the stuff, and separated at the separation
Well,
of recycling.
I think initially, commingled with the other recycling, that might be hard to do initially. We have to get this working first. I think once we get this working, and actually this would be a great regional program. If we could get it working in Albany County, and then as we did with Saratoga County, we could branch out regionally, and I mean we could. All the styrofoam that's going to landfills now can be diverted and reused. I mean, it's great for the environment.
So Frank, would you say that this is a pilot program that we want to test? So these funds, if expended, are really for the purpose of seeing what we can do, and may or may not be.
Yes, in fact, very
the resale
little
market
funds.
may be not really a factor at this point. First, we want to see the works, right? Is that the?
And we want to keep the styrofoam out of our landfills. In fact, there's a figure in here on this sheet. The landfill space is worth upwards to $15 million to ratepayers. So that space, it's worth $15 million that styrofoam is taking up right now. So
Let's wait.
so let's wait. Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean.
I just, the food container component, this is new to me. What would that entail?
They were densified separately, that's all.
What would be the byproduct?
It's still,
Same thing. It'd be the same thing. You'd still have the styrofoam blocks, but you'll get less money for that because it's soil
it's not clean.
versus clean.
Do we have, when does it get cleaned? Or does it?
Well, no, now residents should clean their styrofoam, rinse it out, as we do with our jars and cans. And And, well, right, you're right, but,
You're saying
I
hot.
walk my dog every morning, you know, you see things.
yeah, I know, but it should be rinsed off as you would rinse your jars in your can.
Frank, we have that report from Murphy. Did you give that to us already?
No,
Yeah.
No.
Can we get it?
oh, sure.
I would like another month, if you don't mind, just to review this. I know it's still an audit and finance, but I don't know if there's a financial impact statement also associated with this, but is it
Yeah.
okay if we just stay held for 1 month?
All right.
All right?
Mr. Chairman, just as I can point out though, there is a financial impact statement put together.
Sure.
But this is truly for the county executive to look into this, so nobody's actually implementing anything.
Right.
So the questions that were just asked, which were a lot of very good questions, they could all be directed to the county executive so that he would know that when this came back, these are the questions that would probably be asked yet again. So this
No,
is.
understood.
This is truly.
I know this is just asking the exec to study the,
No, I understand that you want to look into it further, but again, from a financial perspective, there's really no question, because nobody's allowed to do anything other than have the county executive take a look at it.
okay. Fine.
Might be a good time to put in a plug for a Green Island company right now. If we have, I think we should,
This is from our sponsor.
absolutely.
I can't believe
I think
that.
we
Sean,
should.
you're in Green Island?
As part of any study that we do on styrofoam, look into the possibility of implementing programs for alternatives to styrofoam, because they're out there. And company in Green Island, Ecovative, is leading the charge worldwide on that right now. And we should, maybe we should look at that possibility. Now, they don't do food containers because they require EDA approval. And I'm not trying to sole source one company, but there may be others out there. I know of one, but there may be others out there that do that as well. We should look at it.
That's an idea as well. But that would be something that the company would have to go to other corporations and sell their products as packaging.
They do that right now.
They do that now.
They
yeah.
have Dell, they have some major suppliers.
So what are you suggesting in terms of?
Well, I think we have an Albany County company that's known worldwide as an alternative to styrofoam. Maybe we should, plug that fact in the study, just stating that there are alternatives, and maybe while we're setting up a program to recycle styrofoam, we should also maybe look at alternatives as well, because they're out there.
Now, so
You'll
Mr.
get us
Chairman,
the-
I'm not quite sure what your objection is.
I'm asking for the Murphy report if you have it, and if we could just table for 1 month. I'd like to see this go, and I'm glad to hear that there is a secondary market, because I was always under the impression that recycled polystyrene was just too costly to use in a secondary market. So that's promising. I'd just like to look at this in the Murphy report. We'll move it next month, if that's okay with you.
All right, that's fine.
So that code.
Sponsor.
Yeah, I understand.
Number 3, local law number E for 2018, a local law to prohibit the use of conversion therapy for minors in Albany County. District Attorney's not here, is it? Okay, look at the request of the sponsor. Under current business, number 4, authorizing an agreement with Ellis Hospital regarding morgue and laboratory services. Is the coroner here? Tim Cavanaugh? Table. Number 5, authorizing an agreement with Delta Dental Insurance Company regarding reimbursement for dental services covered under Medicaid managed care. Dr. Wellen.
Good evening. This is a request to enter into a revenue-only contract so that we can bill at our dental clinic to Delta Dental, who is now contracted with CEPHP as their dental provider.
Any questions from the committee? Need a motion to move? Mr. Hogan, second by Sean, all in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. Number 6, authorizing the submission of a grant application with the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee regarding a general highway safety grant. Dr. Wellen.
This is requesting permission to submit an application for a grant for $25,000, which would continue the work that we're doing through the Complete Streets Initiative, and it would focus on pedestrian crashes and education, public health education.
Any questions from the committee? Motion by Sean,
Second.
second by Mr. Drake, all in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Brian, second by Lynn.
So moved.